Have you ever felt like you were being watched? That unsettling feeling that someone is there, just out of sight. Now, imagine that feeling, but the person watching you is someone that nobody, and I mean asterisk, nobody, asterisk, can see. Not a ghost, not a phantom, but a real, flesh-stained blood man who can walk straight past you, completely unnoticed. This is a story about a man like that, an invisible man. Our story begins in the heart of Camden Town, where the blue twilight is settling over the steep, narrow streets. There's a little sweet shop on the corner, and tonight, it's glowing like a jewel box. The light inside bounces off a dozen mirrors, making the colorful cakes and sweets glitter and dance. For the kids with their noses pressed against the glass, it is a paradise of chocolates wrapped in gold and green foil, the kind that looks almost too good to eat. And right in the middle of it all, like a snow-covered mountain, sits a magnificent white wedding cake. It's a sight to behold, a sweet promise of a fairy tale. But it's not just the children who are drawn to this window. A young man, barely 24, is staring in with just as much longing. For him, the shop holds a different kind of magic, and it's not all about the chocolate, though he's certainly not one to turn his nose up at it. He's a tall chap with a shock of red hair and a determined face. But there's a weariness in the way he stands. Tucked under his arm is a portfolio of sketches, his bread and butter, since his uncle, a rather stuffy admiral, cut him off for having a few too many socialist ideas. His name is John Angus. Finally, he pushes the door open and walks through the shop to the little cafe at the back, giving a polite nod to the young woman behind the counter. She's a striking girl, with quick dark eyes and a flush in her cheeks, dressed elegantly in black. After a moment, she follows him to his table. "I want," he says, with a serious precision that seems at odds with his order, "one halfpenny bun, please, and a small black coffee." Just as she's about to turn away, he adds, "Also, I want you to marry me." The young woman, Laura, freezes. "I don't allow jokes like that here," she says, her voice stiff. The redhead looks up, and his gray eyes are surprisingly grave. "It's not a joke," he says. "It's as serious as this bun. It's expensive in its own way. It's indigestible if you're not careful, and it can definitely give you a bit of heartache." Laura gets up and walks over to the window, clearly flustered but not entirely displeased. When she turns back, ready to say something decisive, she's stunned to see him laying out a feast on the table. A pyramid of colorful sweets, plates of sandwiches, and 2 little decanters of port and sherry. And right in the middle of it all, he carefully places the enormous, sugar-dusted wedding cake from the window. "What on earth are you doing?" "Say I seekis our ceremonial meal, my dear Laura." He begins. "Oh, for heaven's sake! Stop!" she cries. "Don't talk to me like that. What is asterisk, that asterisk?" she asks, pointing at the mountain of sugar. "The wedding cake, Mrs. Angus?" He replies calmly. She marches over, snatches the cake, and slams it back in the shop window. Then she comes back, puts her elbows on the table, and looks at him with a mixture of exasperation and affection. "You don't give a girl any time to think," she says. "That's because I'm not a fool," he answers. "It's my one shred of humility." She's still looking at him, but her smile has faded. Mr. Angus, she says, her voice steady now. Before this goes any further, I need to tell you something about myself, and it is complicated. Tonight, he replies gently, you can tell me anything. Just listen, she insists. It's nothing I'm ashamed of. But what would you say if I told you there is something that has nothing to do with me, but has become my own personal nightmare? In that case, he says, I'd suggest you bring back the cake. You have to hear the story first, Laura says. My father used to own a pub back in Ludbury, a sleepy little town in the eastern counties. It wasn't much of a place. The only customers were traveling salesmen and these awful, bored young men, the kind who had just enough money to do nothing but lounge around in clothes that were a bit too smart for them, betting on horses. But two of them were regulars. They were always there. And to be honest, I felt a bit sorry for them. They bought well, not a deformity, but an oddity, the sort of thing that cruel people laugh at. One of them was a tiny man, almost a dwarf. He had a round, dark head, a neat black beard, and bright, bird-like eyes. He was always jingling his money and showing off a big gold watch chain. He looked less like a gentleman and more like someone playing the part of one. But he was clever, you know, in a completely useless way. He could do little magic tricks, like making a row of matchas flare up in sequence, or carving a banana into a little dancing doll. His name was Isidore Smythe. I can still picture him, his little face barely clearing the counter, making a kangaroo out of 5 cigars. The other one was quieter, more ordinary, but somehow he scared me a lot more. He was tall and thin, almost handsome, in a ghostly sort of way. But he had the most terrible squint you've ever seen. When he looked at you, you felt completely lost, like you had no idea where he was actually looking. I think it made him bitter, while Smythe was always showing off. This man, James Welcome, just sat in the corner drinking, or went for long, lonely walks across the flat countryside. I think they both felt a bit insecure, Smythe about his height, and Welkin about his eyes. So, you can imagine how I felt when they both asked me to marry them in the same week. I didn't know what to do. They were my friends, in a strange way, and I could unbear the thought of them thinking I was turning them down because of how they looked. So, I made up some rubbish about how I could never marry anyone who had UNT made their own way in the world, that I wouldn't live on inherited money. 2 days later, they were both gone. Just vanished, as if they'd run off to seek their fortunes in a fairy tale. I haven't seen either of them since, but I've had 2 letters from the little one, Smythe, and they were quite something. And the other one? Angus asks. No, she says, hesitating for a second. He never wrote. Smythe's first letter said he'd started walking to London with Welkin, but couldn't keep up and got left behind. He was picked up by a traveling show, and because he was small and so clever with his hands, he did really well. He ended up getting a job at the London Aquarium, doing his tricks. But the second letter, that was the real shock. I only got it last week. Angus finishes his coffee, his eyes patient. Laura gives a wry little laugh. You must have seen the posters all over London, she continues. Smythe's silent service. It's some kind of clockwork invention that does all your housework. Press a button for a butler who never gets drunk. Turn a handle for 10 housemaids who never gossip. Well, whatever they are, they're making a fortune, and it's all for him. For the little man I knew back in Ludbury, I should be pleased for him. But honestly, I'm terrified he's going to show up any minute and remind me of my promise. And the other man, Angus repeats, his voice quiet but persistent. Laura stands up abruptly. You're right, she says. It's not Smythe. I'm worried about you. I haven't heard a single word from Welkin. I have no idea where he is, but he's the one I'm frightened of. He's the one who feels like he's all around me. I think I'm going mad. I felt him in places he couldn't possibly be. I've heard his voice when no one was there. When did you hear him? Angus asks. I heard James Welkin laugh as clearly as I hear you now, she says. There was nobody there. I was standing right outside the shop on the corner. I could see down both streets. It was empty. I hadn't thought about him for nearly a year, but I swear, seconds later, the first letter from Smythe arrived in the post. Did the spectre ever speak? Angus asks. Laura shudders. Yes, she says, her voice trembling but firm, just as I finished reading Smythe's second letter, the one about his success. I heard Welkin's voice say, he shan't have you. Though it was as clear as day, as if he were standing right here in this room. It's awful. I must be going mad. If you were truly mad, Angus says softly, you'd be convinced you were sane. But, he agreed, there's something very strange about this invisible gentleman of yours. He starts to make another joke about the wedding cake, but just as he speaks, there's a screech of tires outside. A small, devilishly fast motor car pulls up to the shop door, and a man in a shiny top hat jumps out. Angus, his playful mood gone in an instant, strides out to confront the newcomer. It only takes a single glance to know who this is. The dwarfish figure, the jutting black beard, the restless, clever eyes. It's Isidore Smythe. For a second, the two rivals size each other up, a strange, cold understanding passing between them. But Smythe isn't there to talk about Laura's. Has Miss Hope seen that thing on the window? He says, his voice sharp and urgent. On the window, Angus repeats, confused, no time to explain. Smythe snaps. There's some funny business going on. Look. He points his walking stick at the shop front. Angus is shocked to see a long strip of paper pasted across the glass, a strip that definitely wasn't there a few minutes ago. They step outside. Someone has glued a long piece of stamp paper to the window and scrawled across it in messy writing. Are the words, if you marry Smythe, he will die. Laura, Angus calls, sticking his head back in the shop. You're not mad after all. That's Welkin's writing, Smythe says grimly. I haven't seen the man in years, but he's been tormenting me. This is the 5th threatening letter I've had left at my flat in 2 weeks. I can't even figure out who's delivering them, let alone if it's him. The porter swears no one suspicious has been near the place. And now this, a public threat on a shop window, while the people in the shop, Angus adds dryly, were having tea. He turns to Smythe. Look, we can sort out our other business later. This fellow can't be far. If you take my advice, you'll get a private detective on this immediately. I know a brilliant man, just 5 minutes from here in your car. His name's Flambeau. He lives in Lucknow Mansions, just over in Hempstead. That's odd, says Smile, raising his eyebrows. I live in Himalaya Mansions, right around the corner. Why don't you come with me? We can go to my flat. I'll grab the other letters, and you can fetch your friend. An excellent plan, Angus agrees. The sooner, the better. With a quick, formal farewell to Laura, both men jump into the car. As they speed away, Angus spots a giant poster for Smythe's silent service, showing a huge, headless iron robot carrying a saucepan. A cook who is never cross. The slogan reads, I use them in my own flat, Smythe says with a laugh, partly for the advert, but they're genuinely useful. My clockwork butlers bring you whatever you want faster than any human ever could. But, he adds, his voice dropping, they do have their disadvantages. Oh, asks Angus. Yes, Smythe replies. They can't tell me who the devil is leaving those letters at my front door. The little car zips up the winding roads, climbing higher and higher into a part of London that feels almost mountainous. Finally, they reach a towering block of flats called Himalaya Man, sitting like a fortress above a sea of green gardens. The only other people in sight are a man selling roasted chestnuts from a stall on one corner of the crescent and a lone policeman walking slowly at the other end. Smythe's car shoots up to the entrance. He's out in a flash, grilling the tall, uniformed commissionaire and a porter about any visitors. They both insist no one has been near his apartment. He and Angus are whisked up in the lift to the top floor. Come in for a minute, Smythe says. I'll show you the letters. Then you can get your friend. He presses a hidden button, and the door swings open by itself. The room inside is long and modern. But what immediately catches the eye are the rows of tall, headless, human-like machines standing silently on either side. They look like tailor's dummies, with broad shoulders and two great hooks for arms, all painted in bright greens and reds. They're just machines, but there's something deeply unsettling about them. But on this occasion, neither man even glances at them, because lying on the floor, right in the middle of the room, is a scrap of white paper, scrawled with red ink. Smythe snatches it up. The ink is still wet. The message says, if you have been to see her today, I shall kill you. There's a heavy silence. Would you like a whiskey? Smythe says quietly, I think I need one. Thank you, Angus replies, his voice grim. But what I'd really like is Flambeau. This is getting serious. I'm going to get him right now. Right you are, says Smythe, trying to sound cheerful. As Angus closes the door, he sees Smythe press another button. One of the clockwork servants glides silently across the floor, carrying a tray with a decanter and a glass. There's something eerie about leaving the little man alone with those dead servants, slowly coming to life. Angus races down the stairs. He finds the porter and bribes him to stay put and watch the staircase. He does the same with the commissionaire at the front door, who assures him there's no back entrance. He even ropes in the policeman, asking him to watch the front of the building. For good measure, he stops at the chestnut seller's stall. I'll give you a sovereign, he says urgently, if you wait right here until I get back and tell me if a single man, woman, or child goes into that building. With that, he feels he's created an impenetrable ring of eyes around the flat. They can't all be in on it. He finds Flambeau in a chaotic, artistic den, filled with swords, Persian rugs, and a small, dusty-looking priest who seems entirely out of place. "This is my friend, Father Brown," Flambeau says. "It's about to snow," the priest says quietly, and sure enough, the first few flakes begin to drift past the window. "I've come on urgent business," Angus says, and quickly tells them the whole bizarre story, from Laura's to strange suitors to the blood-red note he just saw. As he speaks, Flambeau becomes more and more agitated, while the little priest just sits there, forgotten like a piece of furniture. When Angus gets to the note pasted on the shop window, Flambeau is on his feet. "We need to go," he says. "Now, tell me the rest on the way." They rush out into the street, the little priest trotting behind them. By the time they get back to Himalaya Mansions, the snow is already thick on the ground. Angus checks with his 4 sentinels, the chestnut seller, the policeman, and the commissionaire all swear emphatically that no one has entered the building. Father Brown, who has been staring mutely at the ground, speaks up. "Has no one been up or down the stairs since the snow started?" "Absolutely nobody, sir," the commissionaire says with booming confidence. "Then I wonder what this is," the priest says, looking down at the fresh white snow at their feet. They'll look, and there, running right down the middle of the entrance, right between the commissionaire's legs, is a clear trail of footprints. "God!" Angus cries out. "The invisible man." He and Flambeau dash up the stairs, leaving Father Brown standing in the street, looking around as if he's lost interest. They get to Smy's flat, and the door swings open. The hall is darker now, lit by the last red streaks of sunset. The headless dummies stand like silent statues. But in the middle of the floor, where the paper with the red note had been, there is now a dark red stain. It looks like spilled ink. But it isn't ink. Flambeau says the only word that fits: murder. He tears through the flat, checking every room, every cupboard. But there's no body. Isidore Smy is gone. The 2 men meet back in the hall, their faces pale. "My friend," Flambeau says, "it seems your murderer not only makes himself invisible, but he makes his victim invisible too." Angus looks at the silent dummies, and a cold dread washes over him. One of the machines stands right over the bloodstain, one of its hook-like arms slightly raised. For a horrifying moment, he imagines Smy's own iron children turning on him, killing their master, and then... What have they done with him? The nightmare whispers in his ear. "There's only one thing for it," Flambeau says, breaking the spell. "I need to talk to my friend." They go back downstairs, past the porter and the commissionaire, who once again swear no one has passed them. Angus looks for the policeman, but he's gone. "Where's the policeman?" he asks nervously. "My fault," says Father Brown, reappearing at his elbow. "I sent him to investigate something down the road." Just then, the policeman himself comes running around the corner, panting. He runs straight to Father Brown. "You were right, sir," he gasps. "They've just pulled Mr. Smy's body out of the canal." Angus is reeling. "Did he drown himself?" "He never came down. I swear it." The constable insists, and he wasn't drowned. He was stabbed, a great wound right over the heart. And yet, Father Brown says in a grave voice, "You saw no one enter." He turns. "Let's walk down the road a little." As they reach the other end of the crescent, he asks, "I wonder if they found a light brown sack with the body." "Why a sack?" asks Angus, bewildered. "Because if it was any other color, we'd have to start all over again," says Father Brown. "But if it was a light brown sack, then the case is finished." Finished? Angus, it hasn't even begun. You see, the priest begins. People never answer what you actually say. They answer what they asterisk think. Asterisk, you mean, when those 4 honest men said that no man had gone into the building, they meant no man they would suspect, no one who looked like a murderer. But a man asterisk, did asterisk go in? And he came out again. A mentally invisible man. Who? Flambeau de Man. "Well," says Father Brown, "think about the clues. Mr. Welkin went for long walks. There was all that stamp paper on the window. And most importantly, what the young lady said. She couldn't have been truly alone in the street when she received those letters. Someone had to deliver them." "You mean Welkin delivered his rival's letters?" asks Flambeau, stunned. "Yes," the priest says simply. "He had to." "What does this invisible man look like?" cries Angus. "He's dressed rather handsomely," Father Brown replies calmly, "in red, blue, and gold." And in this rather striking costume, he walked into Himalaya Mansions under 8 pairs of eyes. He killed Mr. Smye and walked out again, carrying the body in a large bag. "Are you mad?" Angus shouts. "No," says the priest, "only a little unobservant. You haven't noticed such a man as this. For example, he takes 3 quick steps forward and places a hand on the shoulder of a postman who had just bustled past them. Nobody ever notices postman," he says thoughtfully, "and yet they have passions just like other men, and they carry large bags where a small body can be hidden quite easily. A thin, bearded man jumps and stumbles against the fence, and as he turns his frightened face towards them, they all see it. An almost fish-like and utterly terrifying squint. What happened next? What words passed between the little priest and the murderer under the snowy stars that night? Nobody will ever know. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your night. May you find deep peace and restful sleep. Wishing you the sweetest dreams. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.